Brought to you by Penguin.
Spare Parts, written and read by Paul Craddock. Prologue. The kidney bloomed, going from a miserable grey to many shades of vital red as blood rushed through its newly connected vessels. An organ that could seconds ago have been mistaken for discarded offal was now filled with life, resurrected and visibly claimed by a new body. This was my first time watching a kidney transplant. I'd met the kind-eyed patient 20 minutes before he went under and watched as 3 scrubbed-up figures draped his body with green sheets. He disappeared under these by degrees, like the Cheshire Cat fading into the landscape. But instead of a smile, we were left with a disembodied abdomen. As anonymous figures placed the last of the drapes, an auxiliary burst in with a trolley, pushing it up against the wall between a switched-off respirator and a rack of gleaming metal instruments. It was the donor kidney, lying on a bed of ice, monochrome and well-trimmed with fat. Much like its intended recipient under the drapes, its life had been suspended. It resembled a calf's kidney past its sell-by date, an impression at odds with its true value. The desperately ill Mr. Barty had received it as a gift from his brother, who was now recovering on a ward elsewhere in the hospital. The 2 surgeons and their assistants stood either side of the abdomen, absorbed in the business of making their way through layers of skin, fat, and muscle. Surgeons prefer diathermy for this job nowadays, burning rather than slicing the parts asunder. There is less bleeding this way, but until they break through into the cavity, the scorched flesh fills the operating theatre with the aroma of a Sunday barbecue. Once they'd finished severing the final bits of sinew, the pace slowed as the surgical team prepared the inner landscape of the abdomen, identifying, teasing out, and labelling arteries, veins, and the ureter. During these hours of intense concentration, my attention was drawn to the new organ lying almost forlornly on its trolley. As time went by, blood leached out of it, its bed of ice slowly reddening. I'd half expected the insistent beep of a heart monitor and steady hiss of a respirator to fill the room with urgency, but the machines keeping Mr. Barty alive were silent. Crocs shuffled on the polished floor as one of the surgeons made his way over to the kidney and lifted it from its bed. He brushed away the flakes of red ice with the back of a gloved finger. Holding it aloft and cupping it in his hands, he then brought it to the operating table, where 4 more hands were ready to receive and stitch it in. A pause. The leading surgeon invited me up to the table to peer inside the cavity, hands behind my back so I wouldn't touch anything. Amongst the red anatomy, this lifeless, grey mass looked diminished, limp, and out of place. 3 vessels connected it to the rest of the body, with tiny clamps temporarily stopping the flows of blood and urine. Before my eyes, the surgeon removed these devices, and in a matter of seconds the kidney turned from grey to pink, then almost red. It seemed as if life itself had cascaded from one man's body into another's. Everything about this experience suggested that transplantation was a decidedly modern concern. The theatre was crowded with complex machines, sophisticated instruments, and digital displays. Chemical smells accompanied the aroma of burning human flesh. The procedure was a sterile, well-choreographed affair. But transplant surgery is far from an exclusively modern phenomenon, with a surprisingly long and rich history that stretches back as far as the pyramids. This story begins with the seemingly unremarkable skin graft, the first operation to move a body part from one
Sample complete. Ready to continue?